Hi, I'm Mallory Grimsey. I'm a teen therapist, and the biggest mistake that I hear from teenagers is that they have to wait until they're done with high school to get their life together. And that's just not true. In this video, I'm going to share 6 easy steps on how you can get motivated to get your life together now. Step number 1 is why bother? If you don't know why you're trying to get your life together, you're never going to know where to go. So you have to start and orient yourself with where you are now and where you want to be. So one of the best ways that I can teach you how to do this is to imagine that if you went to sleep tonight and some miracle happened and all your problems and difficulties were no longer a factor, what would your life look like? Imagining your perfect day and why it matters and it's important to you is a key first step in getting motivated, because you will use this as your anchor. When you start feeling lost, when you start losing direction, when you start questioning like why even bother, this will be your key point. It's also really important in this step to reflect on what you might be giving up by getting your life together. So we often try to over focus on what we'll gain with these positive changes, but we forget that in order to gain those positive progress, we may have to give up something else. So for example, if your dream is to go to college abroad, you will have to give up living in your current country at this moment, which could be giving up access to your favorite foods, easy access to your parents. So it's important to also realize what you might be giving up so that you don't end up self-sabotaging and assessing, is this worth it? What's the return on investment here? Maybe it is worth it because you know that you can still FaceTime or Skype with your family. You know that you can still return home after your study abroad. You know that this is a temporary situation in order to achieve your dream life. Step number 2, maybe you're just lazy or not. So how many of y'all have been called lazy because you're just burnt out, exhausted, and just need a break? Same. Can we just all agree that calling ourselves or other people lazy is just not helpful or useful? Can we just eliminate lazy from the dictionary? The thing is that lazy just makes it sound like it's completely your fault. It's your doing, it's your choice, which may or may not be true, but it definitely isn't motivating. If you are feeling lazy or reflecting and calling yourself lazy, or other people are getting in your head and calling you lazy, it might be a good idea to pause and reflect on, 1, is this true? Are you just not putting in effort? And 2, maybe it's time to rethink the story you're telling yourself here. The truth is that we believe what we tell ourselves. So if we're constantly telling ourselves that no matter the effort that we put in, that we're just lazy, then we're gonna keep believing that and we're gonna keep behaving that way and think, I'm just lazy, why bother, right? So some ways that you can rewrite the story for yourself is pausing and reflecting on what other opportunities exist here. What are you learning about yourself, these circumstances, or others? Are there other ways that you can adjust and adapt so that you can still take restorative rest breaks and put in the effort to keep going and working on your goals? Once you've done that, you're ready for step number 3, which is changing your environment. So we forget that sometimes our environment has an impact on our choices and our effort. I've got a great story that demonstrates this point about how your environment can impact your habits. So as y'all know, I love my Starbucks. Starbucks is my happy place. I love their drinks and coffee. It's really yummy. It makes me happy. So if you've never been to my actual office, then you might not know that Starbucks is right around the corner, which makes it really convenient to go and get a coffee on the way in or out, or just to make an excuse to run up the road and grab a coffee. It's very convenient. One morning I was driving into work and I remember thinking, you know what? I'm really not that tired. I don't really need a coffee, so I'm not going to stop at Starbucks. And I started my drive onto the office. Well, wouldn't you know that as I was driving, suddenly I found myself in the drive-through line for Starbucks and was like, how did I even get here? It's because of the convenience and the environment and the route that I took. That was just my habit at that point, and it made it easy for me to continue making that choice. Now, of course, I was already in line, so of course I did order Starbucks that morning, but I made a conscious effort to take a different route to work the next morning. That way I avoided going into the Starbucks line. So check in in on your environment. Are there any physical changes that need to be made? If you're struggling with keeping up on your homework, for example, making sure that the spot that you do your work is clear of distraction. That might be putting your phone into a separate room. It might mean turning off some apps. It might mean clearing off your desk. It may even mean putting a sign on your door saying studying in progress. Another area to check in on to see if you need to change are your friendships and relationships. Your friends and the people who you spend the most time with have an impact on your choices and your personality the same way you do for them. So you want to be intentional and conscientious about surrounding yourself with people who really want the best for you and try to encourage you to make healthy choices. Now, that doesn't mean drop all your friends who are struggling. Please don't do that. You want to be looking for people who are willing to talk things out with you and mean and do what they say. So it's not enough to just talk aspirationally about yourself. You actually have to make some moves. This is how you build trustworthiness and intimacy in relationships. So take some time, declutter and organize your environment. Oh, and by the way, this includes social media. Unfollow accounts that don't make you feel good. Remove apps from your home screen that make it easy to get distracted and now it's 3 hours later. Change the setting on your Netflix so it doesn't autoplay the next episode. All right, now here's the good stuff. Step number 4 is making your plan. You have to have a plan to know where you're going. I like to think about it like you are in a boat in the sea. Now that you know where you are in the sea, you've got to make a plan to get to the shore location that you want to go to. You don't want to end up in Antarctica if you're trying to go to Hawaii. So you need to know what direction you need to navigate and reorient to, and then make a plan to make it happen. So I would really recommend that if you're not sure where to start with just making a weekly check-in date with yourself. And it could be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half hour, whatever works for you. And make that time your time to plan out what you need to do that week. And be realistic. So if you have a condition where your energy fluctuates, you need to keep in mind that just because you intend to complete something on a certain day doesn't mean that your energy will match the effort needed. So be realistic and flexible with your plan, but not overly flexible where you never make a move. So use a calendar and put at least one thing that if you only got that thing done for the day, it would make everything else easier and better to manage. I personally don't like to schedule my priorities out. I like to just have like an intention or a goal that I set at the start of the day and then reflect on if I worked on or achieved that by the end of the day. Now, I don't necessarily have to complete it that day unless it's time sensitive. Then yes, I do. Taking some time to work on something, even if you don't totally complete or achieve it, I would still count that as success. You still worked on it. If you're not sure where to start, I highly recommend prioritizing what is time sensitive and what is urgent. You can have another list that you can call the parking lot or the waiting room, where these are other things that do need to get done, but they're not the priority right now. Step number 5 is take action. So now that you have your plan in place, you have to start taking action. Even if it's just a small action, it still requires action. Without action, you can't get into a flow state, and without flow state, you can't stay motivated to accomplish your goals or your task. You have to take action if you want to see progress. Even taking the simple action of opening up your laptop or making a list or creating your plan will help you get into that mindset and flow and habit of making the changes necessary to get your life together now. Step number 6 is taking time to reassess. So again, you just want to check in. Is this working? Is this not working? Maybe clearing your desk wasn't enough. Maybe you need to also make sure that you have a glass of water nearby. Or maybe you need to set your timer a little bit differently. Or maybe you're learning that trying to do your homework in the middle of the night is not the best use of your time and energy. You might have to wake up a little bit earlier instead. Do what works well for you and you will see the results that you want. If you still are struggling with getting and staying motivated, it's quite possible that you may also be struggling with depression. So you might want to check out the video on your screen right over here where I'm sharing 5 therapist-approved coping skills for teenagers who struggle with depression. If you found this video useful and helpful, please share it. You never know who you could be helping. Thanks for watching.